Trump has picked his next target, it looks like, and it's going to be Chicago. So Trump has been talking for a long time about like blue city degeneracy or whatever. Kayla the Furry, hey, welcome. First time chatter. Nice to see you. Welcome to the stream. We are just talking about how Trump is hoping to like basically invade and mobilize the military against blue cities across the country, one by one by one. Hurts back, dude. Same. I don't even. I'm so happy. I've learned that my back cracking when I like adjust doesn't get picked up on the mic, which saves me a load of humiliation. If only you knew. So this whole thing about the blue cities being invaded by the National Guard over and over is, as I've said in many other segments, part of a ploy in order for Trump to capitalize on a narrative that the right has been building for a very, very, very long time. Since I was a child, as a matter of fact, I heard, you know, the type of language which eventually enabled this kind of action. So let's take a look. A couple news stories here. They're just real quick snippets so you can get caught up, and then we'll talk about it, all right?
Time that President Donald Trump has put Chicago in his National Guard crosshairs. Now city leaders are trying to assess just how serious he is and how they will respond if he follows through with this latest threat. President Donald Trump at the White House today praising the National Guard for, he says, helping make D.C. a safer place. He then turned his attention to Chicago.
We're going to make our country very safe. We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. And we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this. And it won't even be tough.
The mayor's office responding in a statement saying the National Guard could inflame.
Very funny because, yeah, it's a dollar store version of the Reichstag burning. Yeah, 100%. And you can even see here his language of like the enemy is an unstoppable horde of monsters, but also it will be very, very easy to dispatch them with our, you know, definitely not Aryan greatness or whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever fucking version of the Ubermensch that he is alluding to there. And obviously, it's not like these guys get together in a back room and say, I'm going to talk about the Ubermensch today and I'm going to hide it. It's literally like woven in seamlessly into conservative talking points, like through a tradition that goes like to Rush Limbaugh and beyond. And it's a strategy of just constantly bombarding people with fear and with othering, because it fucking works and it makes you a fuckload of ad money. And the people who tried other things made less money than the people who tried this thing. And that's really all there is to it.
Tensions between residents and police, adding, certainly we have grave concerns about the impact of any unlawful deployment of National Guard troops to the city of Chicago. The problem with the president's approach is that it is uncoordinated, uncalled for, and unsound. Other city leaders also pushing back.
You know, his actions that he's proposing are both unnecessary and illegal. Unnecessary because crime is trending down in Chicago. Not that we don't have more work to do, we do. But also illegal.
Crime data from Chicago police shows year-to-date overall crime is down 13%.
Yeah, many
violent
such
crime
cases
is down 23%, and property crime is down 11%.
This is after crime was down like 30% in DC before Trump showed up. He's really just like going to the tail end of the crime wave that's been going for a while. I heard some MAGA people start calling themselves the European Americans as like a race thing. So basically Ubermensch type shit. So embarrassing. It's so dumb how they LARP as something. Like, you know, none of those fuckers even know who their great grandpa is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm lucky enough to have some idea of my family's ancestry, and that is like very valuable to me. And I'm glad that that was passed down. But it's always so fucking embarrassing that you see these Nazis and shit online. And like they act like they have this like strong tradition that they're talking about, and everything they post about it and everything they say about it just gives away the fact that they never heard it from an authentic source, and it isn't an actual part of their family's tradition whatsoever. It's literally just like nostalgia for movies of time, you know, movies that portray a time inaccurately, paintings, and like shit posts from groypers. That's what they're like. They're nostalgic for the contents of those things.
Still, one conservative group, Chicago Flips Red, is supporting the president's tough talk.
I
Where do
think
they
it would
find these
deter
people?
people from committing the crime. We already see the numbers that are going that has
Oh,
gone down in
100%
Washington
Kayla,
D.C.
the
already.
furry, a
Within the last
1000%.
7 days
It's
in
always someone who
Washington
would not have
D.C.,
been white back
there
then.
hasn't been no homicides. So we know that it does work.
President Trump actually making reference to that group in his comments at the White House today.
If you just keep the military in a place on a corner forever, they'll stop. There won't be murders on that corner anymore. Like it's that easy. All you have to do is put a tank in every street, and none of those streets will have crime. I mean, like, didn't someone? No one's thought of this before. Let's watch the other ones. We got more.
We begin with those new details just in tonight about threats from President Trump.
Nah,
According
screw
to
that.
the Washington Post, the
one.
Pentagon has been planning a military deployment to Chicago for weeks. The Post
weeks.
also reporting that plans could involve several options, including sending at least a few thousand members of the National Guard to Chicago as soon as next month. The Washington Post also reporting that there have been talks about using thousands of active duty troops in Chicago, but reports that plan is less likely to happen.
We might burn 20 tons of your tax money in the street just for fun, but we are more likely to burn 10 tons of taxpayer money in the street for fun.
That's
Basically
to deploy the
military
National
state.
Guard.
The Temu military state, because the thing is, and you know what? I'm just gonna hop off the stories here. You guys get the gist. The thing is, like, it's very much not the military state, because even the Trump administration's hold on the public is tenuous at best. And you can tell from the way they move and from the way they talk that they are aware that, like, people are not necessarily on their side, and a lot of people, even though they voted for him, are still on the fence about supporting him for a long time. That's why they haven't just, like, taken everything over. That's why we're not under martial law. That's why they're not, like, in a concrete, immediate way trying to stop the 2026 midterms. They're posturing towards it. They're trying to provoke confrontations where they can be in the right in order to take it that additional leap, in order to get those fence sitters to come over to their side. So, like, it's very important the way Democrats respond. So, like, it's very disturbing to me that, and I just talked about this in a recent segment, which I'll put up on a card over there, that like, he's not gonna get his way if people don't, if with the right response, with the right actual aggressive fighting, with the right confrontation from the left and from Democrats, this shit can come to a stop. You know what I mean? Public opinion can turn against him, but it's a persuasive exercise. And I think, like, the Texas Republicans, for example, who went back, even though they said they were going to stay out to deny quorum for the fucked up maps that give Republicans 5 seats for free in an extremely undemocratic move, those people, like, should have kept that confrontation going longer. I do not think that would have panned out for Trump in the court of public opinion. You know what I mean? Maybe it would have made him do better in Texas, but I really actually think that there are people, like, there are wedges you can put between the groups that make up MAGA. You know what I mean? MAGA isn't only the diehard loyalists. There are a lot of people who only recently got on board in one election. There are people whose only action supporting MAGA is voting in one election at this point. They're not exactly the same people as the ones who are, like, completely in the cult. And, like, those people should, and they can be persuaded. Maybe they can't be persuaded to be good people, but they can be persuaded against Republicans in this particular moment, because I think if you look at polling, everyone is extremely skeptical. This is seeing a dollar store of Weimar Germany falling in slow motion from a self-inflicted stick on the wheels, which is not even there, in, like, a Family Guy cutaway gag done by an Onion writer. Yeah, like, well, couldn't have said it better myself. I think that's a great place to end the segment, because I couldn't top that one, honestly. You know, exceedingly rare chatter W.